So we'll now begin with our webinar today. Allow me to share my screen. Kindly confirm if my screen is visible.
Not yet, Pallavi.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Digital Construction webinar series today at Capricorn Technologies India. So myself, Pallavi Agarwal, I am here at Capricorn as a BIM implementation specialist. With me, I have Mr. Shitanshu Jain. He is a strategic consultant in digital construction here at Capricorn. And with us, we have our guest speaker, Mr. Anurag. He is from Mace India as a BIM manager, digital construction manager. So today in the webinar series, we'll be starting off with the introduction of Autodesk Construction Cloud. During the series, we'll go about what is Autodesk Construction Cloud, what is project management within that, the tool that comes, solution that comes with it in project management, quality safety management, and cost management. So as today's agenda of webinar would be introduction to Autodesk Construction Cloud. Why do we need the construction solution, which is cloud-based solution in an environment uh, on a cloud platform where everything is digital and all the traditional workflows that we have in the industry are not working parallelly with the current scenarios of work from home and the hybrid environment that we are living in. So we will discuss today the need of digital transformation in construction industry. We will start with the introduction to Autodesk Construction Cloud, going with the starting of ACC, what is common data environment. And towards the end, we will have a small Q&A. Any question and answers, any questions in between the webinar that you have, you can put it in the Q&A box. We'll take it towards the end of the session. So before starting with the session, we'll start with a small audience poll to understand the background of our professionals present here in the webinar today so that we can drive the session in the direction of the audience. Please allow me to share the poll with you people. I hope the audience poll is visible on the screen. So we'll wait for another 10 seconds and then we'll start with the webinar today. Okay. So most of us present here are architects, project managers, and engineers. That means almost all the sectors covering in the construction industry we have over here. So the workflow that we will be explaining in the platform, it will be easily understood by all the stakeholders present today. Moving on, before we go directly to the platform, I would like to invite Mr. Anurag Gogna from Mace India. So for him to make us understand that why do we need digital transformation in the construction industry? He is a manager of digital transformation at Mace India. If I go by his qualification, he is a BR and MB PhD. He's pursuing his PhD. He is an architect, project manager by qualification and researcher. He's an educator by passion, specializing in everything which is digital about construction industry. So we will have a great expertise from him about why do we need to adopt such digital technologies. He have a key interest in factors affecting profitability of construction firms in construction sector and is currently pursuing a PhD degree in the same from the School of Business, Sushant University. Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, thank you. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Over to you.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Pallavi and Sitanshu, for letting me be part of this session and sharing few minutes from my experiences around that topic. So let me quickly share my screen and get a confirmation for the same if it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So So we all know we are here around the topic of construction and digital that we are becoming or we already are. So a brief intro to myself. So I currently work with Mace in India. It's a project management firm headquartered out of UK. We typically do large scale greenfield uh, projects and also do some of the infrastructure and fit out projects. So I do a central player. I play a central role here, which revolves around the digital journey of the company, both internally in terms of how we manage our own reporting, and also externally in terms of our reporting and platforms that we provide to the client, and also sometimes depending upon the client requirements, helping them implement platforms which they wish to, or guiding them on that journey. So that's what my role is. I have the industry of experience of 13 plus years. My basic graduation is in architecture. So I connect with this industry very well. I did my master's from SPA, which is around the project management field, and currently pursuing my interest in the financial side and the profitability through my part-time PhD role. So one thing that I love this graphic whenever I talk about technology or even do a training session around that bit is with great power comes great responsibility. It's a famous line from a famous movie, but it's really, really important in this digital era, because what happens in a digital era is every action of yours, whatever you take on a digital platform gets time stamped and recorded. So there is no way in do deter from taking actions on the platform. People and say because I'm getting an internet unstable, so I'll just maybe switch off the video part. Okay. So they will not click on a button and say approve because they are worried that it's recorded. So that is very important. You should own up your actions, and the platform allows you to do any number of sendbacks, comments, annotations, but it makes sure that everyone is responsible for the action and they do it. So, so I'll go further into my presentation and talk about three, which from my perspective and the general perspective is a challenge for the construction industry. Start with the data challenge. So construction industry, just by the scale of it, even if very small data like how many a mason can put up on a wall in a day, depending upon the if we were able to capture that data, which is there, which is not available for any collaborative communication. I'm still audible?
Yes, you are, but
Okay,
your
okay.
voice is breaking in between.
Okay. So I'll continue. Sorry for that native issues. So what I was talking about, even thing like putting together a report or progress report on a project can become a humongous task for someone on a project because the data is just not coming to them in the right format or at the right time. So, or being updated on a project progress as it's happening, if you are not actively part of that project, like I could be part of 20 projects at Mace, but if I'm not actively present at a site, how do I stay updated on what's happening on all these projects and what is the latest information being shared? So that's where it is very important for us to be digitally connected and use the data platforms that we have like Autodesk Construction Cloud to share the information across the projects. Other challenge is the change challenge. We all know Industry 4.0 is now a very commonly talked about term. We are going through that migration where a major change in how the industry operates in coming. And this change is primarily being driven by data. So we have been slow to adopt to the previous changes of mass production, assembly line, automation. Hope we will not be slow to adopt this change as well. Because then we will remain the industry of not choice for the people who really make a difference. So I would say better late than never in this case. Other is something which I have figured out through interactions with people and some of my own observations is the people challenge. We are going to see a generation which is lockdown generation. To really grow up, like they will become a big percentage as of the industry as we move forward. And this lockdown generation has not traveled by a bus to go to school, has not traveled by a auto to go to a project site to do internship. They have sat behind their computers in their AC rooms, which I'm even doing right now, and done their study. So now suddenly when you put them onto a project site, they may not be that much into to really live that kind of challenge. So they may want to do other kind of job roles or surrounding roles, but not the key roles on project site. So this again brings to me to point out that Industry 4.0 is now a required thing for us to retain talent and get talent. The more automation, remote sensing, monitoring we can build into our construction sites, better it will be for us to get the really talented people into our industry. So with these three challenges, I'd like to talk through some bit about the data part, the connected workflows, Autodesk Construction Cloud. So we have been seeing these kind of diagrams. Either we are putting together a presentation, then we came across these, or we are looking at some presentation. There is a talk about common data environment, a central data, people working collaboratively through an online environment. This is now like even the smallest of developers are realizing its importance, or even if they're not realizing, just because everyone is doing it, they have to do it. So the question of you not being part of this journey is now not possible. So the earlier you adapt or earlier that you learn this one, it's better for you. I'll give you a small example from a project that I was involved in. So this project was signed off, everything was contracted before the lockdown happened. And there was a clause that when you travel for meetings, you will be reimbursed for your travel cost, your stay cost, and there was an amount allocated to it. None of the travel happened. The consultant raised the claim. The approving authority asked them, why you're claiming for travel and stay when you never did that? So they said, we ended up putting a lot more hours collaborating and getting approvals from everyone, which could have happened simply in a meeting. So we want to claim those extra hours, but that's not part of the contract. So why get a change order? You just may pay me for the travel. I'm telling you that it's much less than the number of hours that I've spent. Yes, it is a problem, online collaboration, but now there is no going back. Now you cannot claim for these things. These are accepted common understanding points that everyone need to know. So if your client is wanting it, your architect is wanting you to be on an online environment, you have to be. So there is no way you can escape from this one. So learn these tools, adapt them on your projects as soon as possible before it becomes too late. Now I want to give you small example on the power of data. So anyone who is from an architectural background or a sustainability consultant, you might have seen this kind of diagram before, which is called a psychometric chart. So basically what this does is it takes data points from the whole year for a given geographic region and tells you the exact temperature, humidity, and other aspects of the environment for that location. Now, just using this data, which is freely available in few kilobytes, architects can design their buildings much better to the climate of that region. Imagine if this data wasn't available, someone would have to sit on a project site for 1 year just to collect this data, and then you can start the design for the site. So simple data, when collated, can give you real benefits. While so many industries are doing it, construction industry is still ticking to, let's figure it out as it when it comes. We don't have the preemptive data. So I'll talk to you about some of the data points that could be useful for the construction industry. But the data collection and usage of that data is very important to make decision making. Now, data is not only about decision making, data is also about design. So what you're seeing currently on your screen is a work done by a second year student of architecture at School of Planning, where I went for a jury yesterday. And I was amazed to see the kind of design forms they were able to generate using new-age softwares, which allow for these computations to happen very easily. So on the top right, what you're looking at is an effort to create the temple spires using rhinoceros. So now when temple spires were created, rhinoceros was not there, which is a software which allows you to do this. And right now when people are using rhinoceros, no one is creating temple spires from that. But the design principles at that time and the technology right time is the same. So you can literally achieve whatever you wish to or had to achieve in the past now through the use of technology or data points that can help you do that. I'll give you another example. This is not from a college. This is from a real life. The ability to use angle of sun, shade, or the ventilation, the concept was same when the Hawa Mahal was created, and the concept is same now. But now the digital data, digitally connected construction allows us to use those data points to achieve a much more advanced solution to it. So it's not just that it's collaboration between points, but it is also using that data for so much more. And the more data you can collect, the more advantage you can take it out of there. So basically, these two slides I want to talk about. Things haven't changed greatly in terms of what we wish to achieve. It's the same human tendencies, the same human requirement, but the technologies have allowed us to achieve that in a much more simpler manner. So I'll quickly talk about two slides, which is basically graphs that you would have seen a lot of time at a lot of places. This is a technology adoption curve, which revolves around early adopters, early majority, late majority, how people tend to adopt the technology. With respect to when coming to tools like Autodesk Construction Cloud, if you have still not adopted it, you are way beyond the late majority. So it's not something that is optional. It's required on all projects. Emailing files is not the ideal way. It leads to a lot of confusion and problems. So better late than never. Start implementing these. You will figure out your way of using it. Another common curve, which is called the adoption hype. It's like whenever people like Capricorn or any other agency whom they're trying to sell a software would come to you to show you a demo of a software, it will be like inflated expectations. You will see like this is magical. Just the video that was playing before the show began, that everything is like magical. This is connected to that, that is connected to that, this is driving that, and everything is happening automatically. It doesn't happen like that. It's an effort. You have to learn, you have to do it. You still have to do your own set of work, but it just makes the communication a lot more seamless. So what happens is once you have that inflated expectations, when you start doing it and you're not able to achieve that same magic, a delusion phase happens. But just stick around, start using it. You will develop your own workarounds, you will develop your own methodologies, and then you will start seeing the utility part of it, and then the productivity will peak. So just like they say, when the market crash, don't worry, stick on, stay invested, things will improve. Same ways with technology. Once you invest both time and money into it, stick around for it, it will start to give its benefits. It's not something that you are being guinea pigs to. Majority of the people have already used and tested and found the advantage for it. So that's something that you wish to do. I'll give you a small example from a project where we had project management or the design management team, the architects and the MEP and structural engineers. The MEP and structural engineers had used this platform before. The architects were very skeptic. They were not pro using this software. Design management team had some idea of this one. They wanted to implement it. But the problem was the architect was constantly saying, please give us opportunity to email some of the files. Please let us do some communication on email. We are not very conversant with this one, but at least they were ready to give it a try. On the other hand, we thought that the structural and the MEP engineers are very much understood with that software. So they would be ready to get on with it. But they were like, we have pretty defined processes. We will not start an upload of the file till all the processes are in place, till all the workflows of approval are in place. So we said that's good as a philosophy, but you have partners on this project which have no idea. So we really need to at least tell them when a file is uploaded, how does the notification come? How do you open that file? How do you comment on that file? So let's not wait till that perfection stage is achieved. Start using it step by step. You can always go back and delete the data that you don't need. You may want to retain that data, but there are people on a project which have no prior experience of using a platform or are hesitant. Give them that baby steps. Don't wait for that perfection to happen to launch the platform. Else it may fail. So what I want to say here through this slide, this is based on a famous video and a book by Simon Sinek, where he says, focus on your whys. How and what will follow that. But don't focus on what and then how do you want to do it. Because if you focus on what, let's say you decide what technology I will buy because everyone is buying it, you may decide on Autodesk Construction Cloud. Tomorrow you don't like it, you say the product is not good. Product is good, people are using it, just that your why wasn't clear. So focus on your why. Why do you want to go digital? Why do you want to implement a tool? And then just stick to it, because that why is not changing. Maybe it's not this software, maybe it's that software. Maybe it's not this methodology, it's the other methodology. But that if why is very clear in your mind, your belief in that why is very clear, you will make it through. So now most of the projects and things that we work on with are very sensitive data, client sensitive protected data, but I've still taken out few screenshots to show you something around the real world usage of these platforms. So give me a moment while I change. So is this PowerPoint slide visible?
Not now.
Anurag, we can see your a copy of a mail.
Yeah, this is the PowerPoint slide only. Yeah, screenshot I've taken.
Yes.
Yes. So see, I am currently engaged with multiple projects at Mace, and I'm involved in some of the other aspects. But I'm not sitting out geo-located out the same location where the project team is sitting out of. And what happens is project team can really communicate with each other face to face. They can just walk into someone's room or a desk and talk about what's happening. But for me to really stay updated, I need that technology support. I can't be barging in. So like you see, I have a folder here, which is called the ACC updates. And what I've done is I have subscribed to. So if you don't know of this feature, Pallavi will talk you through the next session. I have subscribed to those projects where I want to stay updated. And whenever when a new files come or an updated revision comes, I'm notified immediately. Even if I'm not looking at it at the exact same moment, it's filed at a given place, and I can always come back whenever I'm free for next 10 minutes and look at what's happening. So if I was waiting for something, it has come here. I don't need to go back to ask someone where it is, what is it. I simply click on the open folder button and that will open. So this power of feeling involved has come through because we have started using this product. Else, if I want to be marked a BCC on every mail or a CC on every mail, it's just too many mails. I really don't know when it's a file being shared or when it's a doubt being shared. But right now I know it's a file which is being upgraded in a folder which I am subscribed to. So this is something that it allows me. I'll deviate a bit from Construction Cloud, but now to the data gathering point. So Construction Cloud has recently come up with a plugin for Power BI, a reporting platform that we use at Mace. So I'll give you a brief example of that as well. So I've tried to hide as much information about the client and the project here through the slides that I'm going to show. But what you're seeing right now is a typical report that you will see on a typical project. But the different here, it's live, it's synced, and it's updated. So right now, what I'm looking at is certain activities which are progressing in gypsum, block work, waterproofing works in one of the towers of the project. So I know by which floor, what activity is going on. If some activity in a certain floor has not progressed much, I know there is some concern around it or some other issue or design is being stopped. But the interactive power of it is I can click on a different tower and the data will update. And this is live data that is being fed through a live refreshed report, which I'm able to see and visualize. And not just this kind of data, I can go to individual item works. I'll not show that at this time, sensitive information there, but I'll show you something else. So now I was talking about the data of power of data when it's accumulated together. So what you're seeing here is safety is a very important aspect of any project. What you're seeing here is a dashboard driven by safety issues created by the project team or the safety members, categorized by the CPA category on the left. So now I can quickly see fall prevention and protection is clearly leading the race as the biggest contributor. Now, even if I sum it across 20 projects, it may show the same number or a different number, but at least I'm able to do that. I know which activities are taking longer to close. So let's say if I want to click on this one, I want to know which is the activity which is taken 100+ days to close. I click on it and I know it happened in the month of October. The other graphs are filtered and it was a fall in prevention activity. So people feel empowered to use these reports, interact with these reports and take decisions based on it. So platforms help you collate the data and reporting allows you to take actionable decisions on it. And I'm not limited to one project here. If I'm a client, I can go to the top tab, change the project, and see the similar statistics for a different project sitting right on the same slide. I haven't moved. I can take this filter off and I know what's happening. And here also the fall prevention is leading the race. So I know if I want to do another HSE training on my project side, this is what I need to focus on and how to minimize this. I can go to all item details here, not going for some security purpose, but that's the power of data collection through these platforms and then reporting that you can gain from. So this was it from my side. Back to Pallavi and Sitanshu.
Thank you, sir. This was a really insightful data that you have just shared, the power, why we need data, how do we capture all the information, why do we need to switch to a digital space, digital environment, all these things. And for the same, what we'll now try to focus on is why do we need these solutions? So we will talk about Autodesk Construction Cloud and why do we need it. So for that, I would like to welcome Mr. Sitanshu on the platform now to talk about why do we need Autodesk Construction Cloud and why do we need to transfer to the digital platforms. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Pallavi, so much. Just confirming if I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anurag. Thank you for your insights. That was very practical information which you have shared from your organization and what is happening on the ground, connecting between technology and the practices and how you can leverage that data to take decisions. So, and also one of the very important points you mentioned about it is very important to have our why very clear before embarking on this journey. And because I talk to multiple organizations and multiple levels, owners, contractors, designers, Scrum and private, most of the time we're grappling with the question is, why do you want to do digital transformation? Why do you need a solution in place to help your organization? And I think the most of the times that we hear is that it's more for because of FOMO or fear of missing out. Most developers or most contractors, most organizations, they feel that I need to do something just because some other organization is doing it, or because they hear about some platform or some technology or just any technology being used to deliver a project. And not having this why clear from the get-go is actually going to result in many more problems for implementation of any technology compared to whatever you're doing right now. So having this why clear from the start is very important. And this is where our team, both our technical and implementation team comes into picture. Our first objective is to sit with the customer, understand their why, and then we suggest the right technology to implement in your organization. So for this why, the first thing is, what are the outcomes that you want to derive out of your project? So there could be multiple outcomes. So it could depend upon, if you're a contractor, you might want to win more business. You might want to improve your quality of the project. If you're a developer, you might want to reduce the cost, increase the ROI. If you are a schedule manager, for example, or a planning engineer, you might want to make sure that your project is being delivered on time. You want to optimize your planning schedule. You want to make sure that the schedule you have from the start is the right one. Or, for example, more from the compliance perspective, now there's a lot of importance given to health and safety and quality parameters. So like something what Anurag showed, that he is able to track all the safety issues which are happening on his project across the organization and reflect and make a decision on where to focus. So that way, even how so you as an organization have to make sure that what outcomes are important to you. And as a platform, of course, apart from Autodesk Construction Cloud, there are a lot of technologies available. But as an ACC platform, what we believe is that it can help you in deriving the outcome across the project lifecycle, that is starting from design, planning, construction, and operations, and across all the stakeholders. And that could be for your designers, for your quantity estimators, then your site engineers, even to next management, the non-people who are the people who are not involved in the design or construction processes, but they need to take decisions around it. So each and every person or stakeholder, organization, cycle of stakeholder, they can be part of the project, have access to the data at any given point of time across the devices. All you need is internet access nowadays, which is, I believe, over the last 5 years, internet access has changed a lot. So because of that, now we are not limited any longer by having access to data. It is just about having the right platform in place to make this data accessible, the right data accessible to the right person at the right time. Pallavi, next slide, please. So that's where the question came. So what value drivers and outcomes are most important to you? That is where your journey of digital transformation will start. And with this, so we would like to highlight that how Autodesk Construction Cloud, or ACC for short, can help you in managing your project data or your organization data across the project lifecycle. So most of you, if you're from the architecture or design background, you would have known about either BIM 360 or BIM Collaborate, which is more for co-authoring or design collaboration in the design phase of the project, which allows you to manage any and all kind of design data. So that could be your BIM, CAD, PDFs, Excels, even for that matter, other formats, native formats, which are used in the design phase. But moving on, how do I use that design data in the construction or say pre-construction phase of the project? That is becoming more important. So till now we have seen in the industry that data, especially design data, has been very well managed by the architects or the design fraternity. But we are not able to leverage that same data in the construction phase. To a certain extent, that as per global research, almost 95% of the data is unused or is not used properly in the construction phase of the project. So that is where we believe Autodesk Construction comes into picture, because using multiple tools, for example, if you see on screen that you have BIM Collaborate, and then we have Takeoff for the quantity estimators, and then Build for construction-oriented professionals and organizations, with an underlying technology of docs, which is for everyone, we believe, can help the project data be streamlined, access controlled, and given to all the right stakeholders. Pallavi, next slide, please. So that was more around Autodesk Construction Cloud as a complete platform. But in these webinar series, me and my team, we will be covering more about how more from the construction organization, be it owner, contractor, subcontractor, government organization, you can leverage the design data during the construction phase of the project. The technology for that is Autodesk Build, which is a subset of Autodesk Construction Cloud. And during the webinar series, we will be covering around project management, cost management, quality and safety, dashboards, etc., how you can leverage that, something on the lines what Anurag showed. And today, to start off, and this is, we believe, the first step for any organization to implement this kind of a platform, or the why, are twofolds. So one is having an insight into their organization and their projects, what is happening, how at a glance, for example, the owner of a or of an owner can see what is happening in my projects. And second is implementing a common data environment or a document management system in place, so that any and all kind of data can be shared with all the stakeholders of the project, having native file formats. So I don't need to worry about, okay, I have a CAD drawing, I need to convert into PDF now to share it to my consultant. I have a SketchUp model now, and I have to share a Revit model. I have to share make a IFC file out of a Revit file because the other person does not have a Revit software. So all these things which are common in the technology space, at least, how we are able to encounter that using ACC and use it during the design construction phase of the project. So with this, we will go more deeper into the technology part of it, the platform. And I would like to hand it over to Ms. Pallavi, who will take us through these two points, which we believe are important for any organization to start or to leverage from the get-go.
Thank you, sir. So beginning again from where sir has just left is the document control and the insight part. So if I go in the details of it. So when we talk about Autodesk Construction Cloud Insights, so this is the space, so let's say when organizations are working, it is the platform where we are able to harness the power of data, that is make decision faster. So all your organizational information, multiple projects going together needs a lot of information, data to be managed at a single glance. So like, so we need a lot of dashboards. No, per se, there are a lot of issues. One project is delayed, the other project is on time, some multiple activities might be happening. So we need those kind of information at a single glance on our screens in front of us at a project management level. And we also need to generate hundreds of reports, let's say daily, for all sorts of activities. Those can be design reports, issue reports, or let's say approval reports, day-to-day document upload reports. Because everyone, when we are on a platform like cloud, where all the stakeholders, all the team members are working from different geographic locations, from different time zones, it becomes very difficult to manage them individually through emails or through going back to the software again and again. So we need those kind of informations. We need to connect data in a format where we get a consolidated data. So over here, when we talk about dashboard, it gets a holistic view of the project with customizable dashboards. So if you look at the screen over here, you see that there are multiple cards on the screen which shows you the whether the quality of the project, what is the what are the risks which are being raised in the project, how many issues are there, whether they're being resolved or not, what status are they at, even your RFIs, which are requests for information, your specification details, your submittals. So when I talk about dashboards, they help us in analyzing the data for a single project or across the projects to get a broader view of your company-wide performance. It quickly helps in building an actionable list of daily tasks so that we can take actions on it. We can uh, pinpoint to a specific team or to a specific consultant that these are the actions to be taken by your department or from the specific person. We can even create customized dashboards. That means there can be different cards which we would might need and not these specifically, or we would want to see the set of information not in the specific format. So even when Anurag showed, excuse me, that it is connected to Power BI. So all this information again can be taken to Power BI, and we can have a more detailed information management system over there. When we talk about reports, it helps us in configure and automate critical construction reportings. So as you can see again on the screen, so there are multiple lists available for the report making. We can schedule these reports, let's say daily, weekly, or fortnight, whatever way we want to work with. So these are all your RFI reports, cost basis reports, submittal reports. So these helps us in easily customizing your reports with different filters and getting the report directly on your emails and send it across to the team members, automating all the processes which we want at a single click of activity, so that we do not have to go back and ask people for the same set of works. As sir also gave us the example where the claim uh, incident happened, that people put in a lot of time in working in a work from home environment rather than the physical activities which they could have done with. When we talk about data connectors, to get more out of your data with a single click, so let's say again you have to schedule the extraction of all the information which you need to quickly extract the project data from all the projects and workflows and automate the process with scheduled extraction. So every month you need to extract all the sheets which have been working. You need to collect that data. You need to extract project data for the use in robust business intelligence tools, other tools which we require for working the set of drawings. We sometimes still need to have the physical format of working. Physical hard copies of data is also required parallel to the digital environment we're working with. We can create these templates to extract and manipulate data to enable more sophisticated analysis. Again, the one environment is this, the other environment, when we saw, we need to work parallelly with the data and get more permutation and combinations out of it. Next is the construction IQ. So to identify and prioritize your project risks with construction IQ. Again, this is the dashboard space. So over here, you can see like this is a project which says Seaport Civic Center, for example. So it gives you the highlights of all the risks associated in the project, which can be RFI list. So the documents which are not uploaded on time, or the risks, the action which has been not taken on time, It can be issue related risk also. So use machine learning to scan the project data like issues, RFIs, and design errors to identify high risk areas. So what are these issues and RFIs? We'll see in the subsequent sessions. We'll come along these webinar series. Quickly identify items that need immediate action. So from this, again, from this dashboard, we will be able to identify specific items which we need to work on, or maybe if we skip a few of mails, we get all the information here on the dashboard. We view risk in the context of, let's say, design, quality, safety, and project controls. So these are both direct and applied outputs of all our dashboards that we are just looking at the screen right now. So we are able to control our quality of the project. We are able to maintain the safety of the project, and the project works in the control and a scheduled time format. That means it is deriving value or generating value for the project. Similarly, this is again another set of dashboards. Again, as we discussed, we can create multiple dashboards for our project in the ACC platform. Now, when we go into the deeper means of activity, so where are all these dashboards coming from? Where is all this information coming from? It is coming from the document management or the information management, which we are doing within the cloud platform, that is Autodesk Construction Cloud. So it helps us in ensuring that all the team members are able, or they have access to the data, not in terms of just viewing the data, but also uploading the data. So in the document management, we get a full document control wherein different stakeholders can be brought on the same platform with their access controls. They can upload multiple file types, file formats. There are more than 65 plus file formats which Autodesk Construction Cloud supports. We can create digital approval workflows. So that means working in a digital environment, again, from different geographic locations. We need to have a control of people, that when do they submit the responses and whether they are submitting it on time or not. So these approval workflows, they help us in monitoring those. And then versioning. So this is the one of the most critical features which I believe is there in the document management tool solution over here. That is, hundreds of changes are happening daily, hundreds of upgrades are happening daily in a project, in the fast track projects of the era we are working in. So we need to have a control of all the information which has been updated in real time, so that we can see through a document management version control over here. So when we talk about document control, it ensures the right information is in the right hands, keeping project teams in sync and on track. What do we mean by this? As you can see on the screen, we have added multiple set of people in the project with the permission control. So they have access control. When we say that information is being shared amongst all the team members, it still needs to be secured. It still needs to be in a controlled format, which we can control within the platform. We can create different groups, subgroups, roles, and for the team members in the project and work with their permissioning. We can customize the sharing option, who has what set of working. We can customize the folders. We can create multiple folder structures, again, according to our organizational workflow, which we are practically working in or traditionally working in. So we can similarly put that information on cloud. When we talk about document versioning, so as you see, to keep everyone on the same page with reliable version control, again, real-time updates which are happening, and you need to know which version are we, what is the revision which is there, whether the file is the right revision or it's the previous revision, even what are the changes that has happened from the previous file in the recent file, or maybe let's say from the first revision to the 100th revision. We can all calculate those, we can all see them, visualize them, and we can understand the data which is there with us. This is applicable for both 2D and 3D. So all the changes which has happened in the model or in the PDF, as you can see, you can identify those changes, anything which has been modified. So the idea is these are all color coded. Something which has been added and something which has been removed are all color coded from both the versions of the file. So we know that these changes happened. Earlier when we worked in or we are still working in the traditional environments, everything is in monochrome. So it is very difficult for us to again identify what are the changes that has happened, and it has to be documented again either in mails or WhatsApps or those screenshots. So we can see that how these two are being worked out, and we are working on the two platforms parallelly, understanding the two workflows parallelly. When we talk about document approvals, so it helps in in controlling and automating the review and distribution of project drawings, models, or any document for that matter in the project that we are working in. So this helps us in customizing and automating the review and distribution of project drawings, models, and other documents. We can create a approval workflow here in the project. Different approval workflows can be there, um, highlighting the steps in which the information will get approved from one stakeholder and then from the other, and final approval. This will also help us in collaborating with the tools in the review and then commenting on the documents. So there are 10 documents which you need to share, and then they get lost, the updates get lost. You don't know which document got approved, it was the recent version it was shared. So all these things get stored and get logged in an organized manner within the platform. We do not have to create separate logs for that. It's an auto-generating report format again, which we saw earlier. So this is a high-level overview of Autodesk Construction Cloud. As again, Anurag sir was explaining the subscribe folders and all the details. When we go into the document control, there is more to this platform which we are showing right now. With this, I would like to take up few questions if there are any, so that next time when we come up, we'll start with build, and then maybe towards the end we'll go on the live demo of the platform as well.
So Pallavi, before we take the questions, one comment on this. And
Yeah.
so there, of course, there are other technologies which are present in the market. There are a couple of points which differentiate Autodesk Construction Cloud, taking into account how we work in our industry. So one is that there is no limitation on number of projects or number of the amount of data that you can store online. That is basically unlimited. So you can have a file size of in fact, any file size you can upload online, and any kind of file format of which is there, you can upload. And like Pallavi also mentioned earlier, more than 65 native file formats are supported within the system to view and comment and all that stuff, and whether 3D, 2D, images, or whatever. Second is, and this is a very important part of it, it is something called bring your own subscription in this. So for example, so you're an organization who is as a contractor, you're working with multiple owners, and let's assume that all those owners have implemented this platform. Now, as a contractor, because you're working with the same, you don't need to buy a separate license for each and every organization that you're working with. The same license for the same user can be used across all the organizations that you're working on or working with on this particular platform, which that is the power of this. So you need to worry, you don't need to worry about buying a separate license for each project or each organization, whether it in India or globally. So these are the two important parts as an ecosystem, as an industry construction industry, that helps it differentiate from other technologies. So now with this, I think we can open up the floor for questions. So I see some questions around here, Pallavi, and probably we can take them up.
Yeah.
So the first one is regarding 2D QTO. So can you shed some light about that? Is it automatic or a manual intervention process?
So it says that it is regarding 2D QTO. Is this completely automatic process or some manual intervention is desired? So technology is there, but then some manual intervention will always be required. So in this, when we are working with 2D environment, here the visualization or the ease with which we can calculate the quantities from the 2D environment becomes much more easier. We can create those formulas, and then the let's say the digital activity starts happening, the quantification becomes much more easier. The manual intervention of calculating everything and documenting everything's become easier. We still will have to create formulas, we still will have to select the elements for quantification and get the total QTO generated from both your 2D and 3D.
Okay, so Pallavi, next question is around with approvals. Are there reminders to those who have missed the period?
So every time we are working with approval workflows, there are emails which are being sent. We can send a reminder email also again to notify the person. And also all the information which happens is there as a log within the platform. So every time we visit the platform, we know that either the activity is delayed or the response is delayed, or how much time is left for the delay. So all these reminders are controlled in a controlled way.
Okay. So now some more questions coming in the chat box. So the first one I would like to take up. The question is, can this software be used for highway projects? So the short answer is yes. So any kind of project, be it a vertical or a horizontal, highways or metros or water or even even transmission for that matter, transmission projects, the software can be used for that purposes. It depends a lot on what is also your design input, whether it is in a 3D, for example, a civil 3D kind of a file, or is it a DWG or a CAD file, or a PDF file. So what is the design input which is coming in? But the software, yes, ACC can support highway projects also, starting from your design to take off to your construction and even operations phase of the project. Second question, Pallavi, is around, if I'm putting my DWG models on ACC and somehow it gets corrupted, and how will the file get back? What is the backup plan for ACC? So good question, Mr. Raja. So first of all, within ACC, we have not seen any corruption on files happening. It is primarily happens the person who has uploaded the file has uploaded a corrupted file itself. So there was the file which was uploaded was wrong. Within ACC, there is no mechanism that the file itself will get will make any changes to the file. But on the question of your what is the backup plan? So there are a couple of backup plans which are there for ACC itself. So one is a desktop connector, in which you can, for example, if you use a software like a Google Drive or a OneDrive, you always have a data online, but you can also have the mirror of that on your own computer. It creates a drive on your computer where all that data is stored. So same with the Autodesk Construction Cloud also. All your documents which you have access to can be stored on a local drive also. It creates a mirror of all those files on your local computer, and you can have access to that. Second is you can create an archive, or you can download all the data periodically from the cloud and keep it as a storage, or you can create it as a backup. That depends upon, of course, on the sensitiveness of the project, or what is the complexity of the project. But yes, you can create an archive of the project and periodically store all that data, whatever all the data which is there, as a files or locally. But it will not contain your anything which you have done on the cloud. So for example, if you do any markups or anything like that, that of course will not be stored on the local computer. But yes, all the files can be stored. I hope that solves the queries which we have till now.
Yes. Now, these were the only queries that we have. So we'll wait for any further queries if there are any.
So the question we have is, can we review both online 2D and 3D models? So I believe by 2D you mean PDF and CAD. So yes, the answer is yes, you can review online, even browser-based online review markups, issues, references, everything on 2D and 3D models. Most of the common formats which are used, native file formats which are used in the industry, can be reviewed online.
So
An
another question, sir.
interesting question from Mr. Rahul, that how is ACC useful to the project owner, given that it adds to the owner's financial burden? So Rahul, you have to look at it from another perspective. Not having, not only specifically ACC, not having any digital platform in place is going to increase the risk for the project owner in a much higher sense, because he does not have an outlook of what is going on in his project. What is the status of his stakeholder? What is the deliverables which are supposed to happen? Where is the drawings, for example, at the stage of handover? What has happened to my drawings over a period of my complete project life cycle? So that way, not only ACC, any platform is not a financial burden for the organization. It is an investment which probably pays tenfolds during the project life cycle, especially be it a small or a large scale project.
There is another question. Do Capricorn organize the training sessions for Autodesk Build?
So, Mr. Amandeep, yes, we do that, but it depends upon what we are looking for, whether it is at an organization level or at an individual level. But yes, we are one of the very few Autodesk construction partners in India and globally. And now, we are part of Capricorn is part of a Win Zero group, which is a global powerhouse, probably one of the biggest Autodesk partners in the world. And we are present across the world. So wherever across the world you need trainings on any of the Autodesk solutions, be it for AEC domain, DNM, or media entertainment, we can provide that. So there's one more question in between, whether this software can be used for precast companies also. So we will probably need to understand this question more in detail. If you want, we can get into touch with you. We can get in touch with you post this session. But if you're talking primarily about document management, data management, storing precast components, fabrication drawings, then tracking the assembly on site, all that, yes, can be done. If you're talking about more like a precast, like how do I convert a architecture model into a precast model, that of course it cannot do, because this is more for an online collaboration and coordination.
So there is another question which is there. So can you please confirm if RFI feature is available or not in Autodesk Docs, or is it only available in Autodesk Build?
So RFI is primarily more of a construction-oriented feature which is required. So from the technology side on ACC, it is available only in Build and not in Docs, Collaborate, or Takeoff. So it is available only in Build. Okay.
One more question.
Yes. Yeah, please, Pallavi.
How is the software licensed? Is it only the project owner who needs to license and invite others to edit and respond to reviews?
So the software is licensed on user basis. So each and every person who needs access to the platform needs to buy a license and assign it to a particular email ID or the person who is using it. Now, who is buying it? Who is buying the license? It could be anyone. It could be the owner. It could be the contractor. It could be the design company. It does not matter for a particular project. It all comes down to what are the finance, who is going to pay for it, who has a financial, who is going to sort of implement it, who is going to take ownership of the data, because ultimately whoever creates the first, or whoever creates the site for your project, he will be able to own the data till the end. So if the owner creates a site and all the users are added on top of it, then owner has the administrative power to add or remove users during the entire life cycle of the project. And he can then, even so, after design phase is over, for example, he can choose to reduce the number of designers, take only limited people during the construction phase from design, add more of construction professionals in that. Once construction is done, then because he still has the ownership of the entire data, then he can choose to remove all the designers and contractors and construction from the platform and add his own O&M team for the operations phase of the project. So the license is user-based, but who is going to pay, who is going to buy, that is very flexible depending upon the customer.
Thank you, sir, for taking all the questions up. I think there are no further questions in the chat box. So if there are any further questions, you can always write us at the Capricorn website on our Capricorn email IDs. We will be happy to take those questions and revert back to you. With this, we would like to conclude today's webinar, the first webinar of the series, and we will continue with the series next week on the topic continuing further on Autodesk Construction Cloud. Thank you everyone for joining us.